Hello. So, the feedback party. If there are any leapers in YouTube, you're meant to be in Zoom, guys. Because that's where we'll be doing the feedback party. So come on, hop on over to Zoom. There's a link in our Slack community. And put your hand up if you want if you want me to listen to your music. And to non-leapers who are on YouTube, sorry I'm late. Just had a bit of sorting out to do because I've got literally about 5,000 billion screens open in order to perform this particular live stream because I'm using both Zoom and YouTube. So my squirrel mind is a bit all over the place. I've literally got about 15 windows open in order to do this. Anyway, we will do our best. So let's just go through what we're doing today. Oh no, that's not right. I'm going to move you over here. Yep. What we're doing, a little housekeeping first, because I've got a few things going on. Just want to let you know about them. A quick review of the paths process, and actually, what I'm going to do, Mark, is I've got Mark on the line. I'm just going to mute you for a second because I've got to talk for a bit, okay? And feedback. No, not on songs from the Leap 9 class, not Leap 8. Silly me. And so housekeeping. What's coming after this? An after party, Zentor live. Link in the description. Tomorrow, 30 minutes later than this, I'm going to do a live stream where I'm actually going to, I won't actually finish one of my tracks on the live stream because I'll probably be talking to people, but I will be actually live producing one of the ideas that has come out of my Zentor live streams. So I will actually be showing you the next stage of the creative process after you've splurged or made some ideas. I don't think I've put a link in the description actually for that yet. It's something I forgot to do, but it's on the channel. I've scheduled it on the channel. And then the day after, which is 1 hour, but 1 hour before this, actually 1 hour 15 now, the Turbo Track Attack workshop. Okay. And again, I don't think I put a link in the description for that, but you will have got emails about it and stuff, or you can just message me. And I will give you a link for it. Okay, so the next Leap class, I just wanted to let you know about the Leap because obviously we're listening to people from the Leapers music. It starts on Friday, May the 7th. There's a link in the description for that. There is a link in the description for this one. And it's a 10-week bootcamp style intensive training where in the 7 weeks I give you the automatic music machine, train you in the automatic music machine, which I think it's fair to say is a revolutionary system to basically finish enormous amounts of music. And how it works, it's a bit like, I'm not sure whether I want to make this metaphor or not, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's a little bit like the difference between a horse and a car, or maybe more like when they used to make cars before Henry Ford came along and turned it into a kind of factory. It's like your own factory for your music, which actually means the quality improves and you make a lot more music because you're working on lots of music at the same time, which means you get distance from each track. You get that objectivity because you're not listening to it. You may well be working on, 7 tracks at the same time. And because it's through a system, it's easier to finish and more of them get finished. Yeah, still not it's still the creative process, so there is still struggle, but really it's a creativity training as well. And the way that I teach the automatic music machine is by you completing a music project of your choosing. Could be one track, could be an EP, could be an album. Some people are finishing like ridiculous amounts of music. Depends on where you're at and what kind of music you make, of course. Okay, and then in the last 2 weeks of the program, we do the magnet model, which is about how to build a secure and stable business through music you make. Because yes, that is possible. Again, not easy. I'm not saying that in 2 weeks you'll be able to set up a secure and stable business. You wouldn't be able to do that if you were selling gold, right? Let alone music. Yeah. So I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I will show you how you can do it so that you can decide if you want to or not. Okay. There are weekly coaching calls on Zoom, and obviously it's much smaller classes, so it's much more kind of intimate. We actually speak on those calls. We actually talk to you as you'll be about to find out in the Leap. In this feedback party, there's also a Slack community. You can see that down here, and Slack is much easier to manage than Discord in many ways. It's got some downsides, but it's actually much easier to manage. And here you can see the Leapers who are sharing all of their success and doing live streams and releasing their first music. Down here you see loads and loads of people are doing a track a week thing that me, Luke and Arish are doing as well. Loads and loads of people. I think it's fair to say that none of these, well, I don't know, none. Actually, probably none of these people would have expected to be able to do that without the Leap. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't want to lie because I don't know. But a lot of them anyway wouldn't have been able to do that without the Leap. And also the other thing that you get is Luke or Arash as your coach, following you up with you personally on the community in these conversations that we can do. So me and either Luke or Arash will be in a conversation with you on this community as well. On top of all that, there is the Leap Library, which is this massive, I don't know, it's about like 5 courses from Make Music Your Life stuff from before the last couple of years, where there's all sorts of stuff about arrangement, composition, mindset, time management, what else? I mean, almost everything that you can think of, business stuff, marketing stuff, and you get access to that as well. It's absolutely massive. I don't know, it's probably about 3, 4, 5 courses in one at the same time. But the core thing is actually I take you through the automatic music machine and the magnet model. The other thing about the Leap is that you can do it as many times as you want. Once you're in the community, once you're a Leaper, you're always a Leaper. We do 4 of them a year, 4 of the classes a year, and you're welcome to join as many as you want. And that includes all updates. So I do update the program. I was going to say regularly. I've put off an update recently. So, but yeah, less regularly recently than I thought because I'm moving house and the pandemic has made things a bit tricky. But I am, I do constantly upgrade the program. I have been upgrading all the coaching calls. So you get access to all future updates as well for as long as we run the thing. So it's a pretty good deal. Anyway, enough of that. And I'm going to now show you how I'm going to give feedback. And it says we're because usually we would have Luke and Arash, but it's just me today. So this is how I give feedback. This is how I think about music. This is how I actually make music myself. I think it's fair to say that this paths process has made it possible for me to make music live and it be a sort of, understandable, if you like, because it's a very simple, and it doesn't require a music theory. It's a very simple way of thinking about how music actually works on a sort of very fundamental level. Okay. And essentially the first thing you have to know, well, maybe not the first, because it's not quite as linear that, but one of the things that you really want to understand about music, the music you're making, is what's the purpose of this idea? What's it actually expressing? Not just, is it, what's it for? I write techno, it's for making people dance. That's not that useful because probably all of your music is for that. Yeah. So it's almost like you want to come up with it. Well, what is the purpose? What is it expressing? What's it for? Yeah, it could be an emotion. It could be expressing contrast. It could be like a study of some particular technique that you're into. There's all sorts of different things a purpose could be. Yeah. And also often there's a purpose for the audience and then there's a purpose for you as well. Okay. And when you know the purpose, the rest of this becomes easier because the rest of these things around here essentially are there to serve the purpose. And I'll just go through them quickly. So arc, the A of paths, is essentially, the way of thinking about it is the arrangement, or the structure of it. It's like, what is the shape of the piece of music? What story is it telling? Yeah. How does it shift, transform, or change? Yeah. The thing, the T of paths, and this is something that you probably won't be familiar with unless you've heard it from me, and it's a little bit more complicated to explain. But essentially, one of the things I noticed about almost all music, not so much classical music, but definitely popular styles of music, is that they all have a thing which comes back, which is taken away and then comes back at some point, which releases the most tension. Okay, and usually that thing is actually delivering the purpose. Okay, so a very, very obvious example is in EDM, techno, house, that kind of stuff. The thing is often the groove. Yeah, so this is where people get confused because they think, well, isn't that the hook? It is sometimes, but it's not always. Yeah, it's almost like, a carrot is a vegetable, but not all vegetables are carrots. Yeah, so the hook could be the thing, but not all things are hooks. Yeah, so and an example is in EDM or techno or house. Yes, and I am separating those genres. Anyway, where essentially the thing is usually the groove, which comes back after the break, and the hook is often the thing that's in the break. Yeah, is often the part that's in the break. Yeah. You'll get a vocal, but it's not actually releasing tension, it's creating tension because the thing comes back and it's like, yeah, that. Whereas in pop music, often the thing that releases the most tension that comes back is the chorus. Yeah. And talking of choruses, and it's really like why this is useful is that it just simplifies everything when you understand that, when you understand what the thing is. Yeah. Now the hook is fairly obvious. The hook in pop music is often the chorus, not always. Sometimes the verses are quite hooky as well. Yeah. So I don't think I need to explain that. And then finally, the space. What spaces or environments could the music create? So this is really about the mixing part of it. And instead of thinking, I just want to balance all the parts so I can hear everything all the way through. That's not how I think about mixing at all. That's the last thing I want to do. I don't want a balanced mix. I want a spiky mix. Yeah, I want there to be an enormous amount of space created by some things being right in my face and other things being far away, and like here and there and there, and so you can create these enormous spaces. Yeah, and then also in the same track, sometimes make them really small, like you're in a box. Yeah, and that really creates a big effect. And that's how I think about mixing, about spaces. Because one of the mistakes that I hear in most music makers who are at the start of their journey or earlier on in their journey is that it's very flat, very, very narrow, and very, short. Yeah. So it's like everything's just like that. And it's almost like the space that it's putting into you is in front of the computer screen looking at a door. Yeah. So that's how I'm going to give feedback using, we won't talk about all of these things for everyone because, it will kind of depend on what I hear. Yeah. So I won't be talking about compression ratios. I won't be talking about, the sort of finer points of mixing because really that is less important at this stage than this kind of stuff. Okay. So, yep. Right. So let's start with Mark. Hello, Mark.
Hello.
Hi. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm well, thank you.
Jolly good. So let me just ask the people on YouTube, can you hear, are we actually on YouTube? Are we actually live on YouTube? I guess we are. Could somebody check on the Leap that we are actually live on YouTube? because the comments are making me worried. They must have some issues. Oh, maybe that's from before. Oh, we are good. Phew! It's because I was late. There we go. Wonderful. Okay, I'm live. That's a relief. All right. So, Mark. So did you join? You joined for the Leap 9, didn't you?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So just this.
First.
It's your first, yeah. So what what did you think? What did you get out of the Leap?
Oh, a lot of stuff. I think the automatic music machine is just a great way of kind of like a great system, just kind of like churning out the music, but also so you don't get stuck on things. And I think that's something a lot of musicians get into, don't they? Kind of obsess about a certain track or kind of minutia,
yes,
details, and it kind of removes a lot of that, and also kind of helps kind of distance yourself from sort of any worries or kind of negativity that you may come up with, in sort of your regular practice. So I thought it was really good.
Right.
It's great having a community to, just people you can bounce off ideas off. I don't know, just that's a big part of it, I think, too. And obviously, I'm in kind of you and the coaches, to kind of ask any questions over.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's have a listen to this track. And to be transparent, you didn't actually make this track during the Leap, did you? Just before. So let's have a listen, okay? Because you really wanted feedback on it, so let's do it. I'm going to start at 45 seconds. I'm not going to start from 45 seconds in, because it's got a sound. It's got a sound at the start, which is a really good sound, by the way. But it's the sound which made me thought that I was encountering a technical issue with the live stream. So let's just have a listen.
Find the peace of meditation. Be still and realize the dreams you hold are worth fighting for. All this time wasted on agony for false fictions. I don't know what I want or what I need. But my soul beats the blood of a better man. Be still, my wounded heart. There's still time and opportunity to restore peace to your being. Be still and forget the past. Thoughts to a better future. I can travel in search of emotion. I feel you slipping away. I'm slowly unable to stop the tides. I can no longer hide. Let go of my pride. I stand tall and will no longer shrink away. I will take what I can. Be still and let it wash over you. Now we walk in sunlight, dappled by the shadows of leaves. Be still, my love. Let it remain a thing of beauty, if only fleeting, like a blossom time. To be still in a time of chaos is an act of bravery and rebellion that nourishes the soul, the growth within, never to diminish. Be still in truth and knowledge that you are not alone. The pain will decrease one day. You will see.
Okay, Mark. So, first thing to say is, when are you going to release it?
Very soon. I got a couple of tracks. I want to put it out on with an album. So I've just finishing off a couple of the tracks.
Oh, great. So you've got an album coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think honestly, anything that I say here, it's almost like it's pointless because it's great and it's just great. Like that it does what it says on the tin, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? And so any I just want to sort of put a disclaimer on the front of this. Anything that I say that I ask you about or that we talk about in relation to this piece of music could well make it worse because I think it's great. Yeah, I think it's when I say I think it's great, it's not. So I'm not talking about my sort of subjective opinion. I'm talking about it objectively as a piece of music. It ticks all the boxes. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it's like there isn't. I mean, you know, there are things that I'm going, oh, it would be good if you did this, or it'd be good if you did that. But that's more about opinion than it is anything else. Yeah, and I don't actually think it is true to say that music is 100% subjective. That's not the case. Yeah, because you can quite clearly hear a bad piece of music compared to a good one, and that's not about what it is. Yeah, so I can hear a type of, and by the way, I'm not putting this track into this bracket, but I can hear a genre, a piece of music and a genre of music that I cannot stand, and appreciate it for being great. Yeah, that's one of the things that happens when you get musically trained, or when you you do sort of music analysis and that kind of stuff. You know, there is a massive difference between what you like and what's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that you know, so what we're talking about, you know, so sort of in terms of when I say objectively, of course we can't be 100% objective. Objectively speaking, there's not a lot to say about this, which I would go, well, how about this? How about that? Yeah. But we can talk about a few things. I mean,
okay.
Listening to it in this context, Mark, what were your thoughts as you were hearing it? Because it probably sounded different listening to it in this context, aside from the fact it's coming through Zoom and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely sounded weird coming through sort of Zoom and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've listened to it a lot. I mean, put a lot of work into this one, particularly on sort of the vocals and lyrics. And I did get a few friends to kind of help me out in terms of like feedback, but it was more like kind of technical mixing kind of stuff. I don't know. Yeah, it's slightly nerve wracking, you know, thinking people are kind of listening to it and like, you know, oh, it's not judging it necessarily, but I don't know.
Oh, you know, people are definitely judging it.
Sure.
Which is fine. I mean, we got to get used to it. So this is a good thing. And you know, it's like at the end of the day, people, you know, this is the game. And but I mean, was there anything about it where you're like, oh, maybe I would change this, or maybe I would change that? I just want to get your view, or was it just sheer sort of blankness or confusion, or I don't know, I've heard it so much I don't even know anymore? What was the?
No, I think. I mean, there might be the odd little thing. I think, well, I don't know, maybe I'd change that. But it's just getting, you know, pernickety about particular bits. No, I'm pretty happy with the track, really.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
like
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
I think you're absolutely right to be happy with it. But, you know, remember, it's not necessarily because you put a lot of work into it, because I'm sure you've put a lot of work into lots of things that haven't turned out so good. Right? Yes. So let's just separate how hard you work from how good it is. Yeah. Well, that's something that people do all the time. Instead of making something good, they just work really hard on it, because then they think, well, at least I've worked really hard on it. Yeah. So let's just keep that in mind.
Yes.
Yes. So
I do fall into that trap.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. We replace the uncertainty of not knowing whether it's good with the certainty that we've absolutely and utterly beaten the track into. Yeah, which often makes it worse. So that's just something to bear in mind. So if there were some things that you thought, you know, in your mind were a question, what were they?
Sorry, what? No,
yeah. As you were listening to it, in your mind, as you listened to it, and you thought, oh, I might change this, I might change that. What were those things?
There's just kind of one line of the lyrics. I thought, oh, maybe I could just cut that out. I wasn't sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So it was more of a lyrical thing?
I think mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm pretty satisfied with it. I don't think there's much I would change, really.
Brilliant. So the one thing, I think there's one thing where I just had a question, and this, do not change it, don't go back and do anything about it, but just to take forward into the future, and that is about the shape of it now. So we're talking about arc. So what's the purpose of this track, this song?
I don't know.
What's it
just
about?
Kind of came to me. I kind of started around the bass line, sort of lyrically. Well, I was kind of in a bit of dark time in my life when I made it, and I kind of felt like I was kind of just starting to come out at the end of it. So it was like a process of kind of coming out of darkness and into a more lighter, you know, kind of, you know, I don't know what the right word is. You know, like a positive experience, you know, you come and, you know, kind of picking yourself up and moving on.
Okay, and so there was is it a synth or a little melody thing that came in at the end? Is that the positive? Could it be said that was the kind of description of the expression of the positive thing? So it kind of starts dark and it goes into the light. Is that the?
I was thinking more kind of lyrically. I think musically, I don't know. I just kind of have this kind of heavy, kind of psychedelic vibe to it, which I kind of liked.
Okay. Right. So what I'm hearing is that you're very, and this is great. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it's really important if you're writing lyrics to be very focused on the lyrics, right? But if there's something that maybe you can think about in the future, is like, how can the music express the lyrics even more clearly? Yeah, or sort of, because the track, and again, it's great. So please just ignore it for this track, right? But it does it. It's like it's sort of static, and maybe that's why you want it. Yeah, and that is good. It's kind of It's part of it. It's part of what it is. But you can still have that kind of, and this is going to sound like a terrible word, and it's not meant to be negative, right? But it's like, that kind of dirge, that, and it can be like that, and you can still have a shape to it, right? Because if you look here, you can even see here, it's like a tube, and then there's this little break here, and then it's a tube, yeah? And the kind of, the light thing, the new synth thing, I don't know whether you can see my pointer, but it comes, actually the leapers won't be able to see that. Let me just see if I can,
at the sort of file.
Let me just see if I can do a different share for the leapers. Yeah.
No, that is something I did think about. In terms of it, changing in terms of structure a lot, but I kind of wanted it that way. I think.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, but in the future, it's almost like you can still have that very repetitive sort of, it's like it's almost like claustrophobic, isn't it? It's like. And within that, actually still create a sort of shape. Yeah, it's like if the purpose of it is to express from sort of darkness and coming into light, then there is actually a movement there. Yeah, and maybe the music could have expressed that movement more in the kind of shape of the music. Yeah.
No, I get that.
Yeah, and if you had done that, what would you do in order to do that?
I don't know. I was just thinking about sort of like the opposite game and things like that, which doing the leap, which I found really helpful with that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? To at least, maybe not the opposite necessarily, but
contrast,
creating that sort of contrast.
Yeah. Contrast is absolutely huge.
I think I would look at that.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry, go.
Yeah. No. Go on. So you definitely think you would look at that? Yeah.
No, I was just saying, I think if I was, music I'm writing now and future stuff, I would not concentrate, but like definitely look at more contrast and that kind of thing, I guess.
Because you can
more emphasis on that, because I do tend to have quite repetitive music, and like that was something I found really helpful with the leap, was just the kind of the discovery sessions, various games and things.
Yeah, because you can still maintain the sort of cloying, sort of claustrophobic repetitiveness of your music, and it be contrasting at the same time by doing different things with the same parts. Yeah, or different sounds with the same parts, or adding things, or making it less distorted or more distorted. Yeah. It's like there is somewhere to go from that. Yeah. Up or down, and it's like it doesn't. It remains static. Now, as I said, it's great for that. So don't change it. I don't think you're going to, by the sounds of it, which is great. But just think about that in the future. But great work, Mark. Really. I absolutely. On a personal level as well, I absolutely love it. So, not that matters. But anyway,
nice to hear.
Yeah, and we're in a conversation on Slack anyway, so I'll talk to you. Sorry, our conversation on Slack is so sort of. It takes so long because of the time difference, I think. But anyway, we'll get there in the end.
Cool.
So
brilliant.
Nice one, Mark.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Right, let's move on to Jamie. Oh, and bear in mind, the music that people make in the Leap. Obviously, because of the kind of music that I make, there's a lot of electronic kind of, house and techno and all that kind of stuff. But there are songwriters, there are singer-songwriters. There was even a death metal guy at one point. There's guitar players. There's lots and lots of different kinds of music. So it's not genre or gear dependent whatsoever. Modular people, So it was good to start with Mark, who may be something different from Jamie, are you there? Oh, hello, Jamie.
Hello.
Hi, how you
Hi.
doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm very well. So let's have a go. All right, so this is a track that you did finish during the Leap 9. And what was your experience of the Leap? Did you have a good one?
Well, I did. I loved it. It was quite intense, but I stuck to the process, and yeah, it was. It swallowed me up a little bit, but it was all really worth it. And I think what I've learned is the half an hour cycling sessions to Discover Draft really help, because they stopped me getting overwhelmed, and they stopped me kind of procrastinating, because I've always got half an hour. So it was that kind of breaking into chunks really helped.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think, it's an intensive process, no doubt about it. It's an intensive boot camp style thing. I don't do anything else like it. But really, sometimes, to break those habits and sort of really show you a different way, it's almost like, okay, in the next couple of months, you're just going to get it sorted. I mean, not when I say sorted, that doesn't mean everything becomes easy, because the creative process is hard, right? But it's almost like all of that, you're going to know what to do when things get hard. So, great. All right, well, let's have a listen to the track. And sorry about the volume problems earlier. I'm going to start quietly and build it up, because I want to make sure that there's so many different sound sources happening. It's almost impossible. So, here we go. It's very strange. The music isn't very strange. Apparently, someone can hear me typing when I wasn't typing. How weird. Maybe it was this. Maybe it was my little fidget spinner thing. All right. So, Jamie, listening to that in this context, which is an unusual context, I think it's fair to say. What were the thoughts that came into your head? What feedback would you give yourself?
That was the longest 5 minutes of my life.
Yes, I know what you mean.
So maybe it needs a little bit of editing. And I think the thing you mentioned about space, I don't know if there's enough shape to it.
Yes. So that's definitely something I thought that the about the space. But let's come on to that in a second. What is and now you may not have thought about this yet, but so I'm going to ask you to come up with something if you haven't, right? So what is the purpose of this track beyond making someone dance, I presume?
Well, yeah, it was meant for a dance floor, and that's as far as I've got.
Right. So it's called Maiden Voyage, and was that just a kind of random name, or is that?
Yeah,
does
it's
that
just
mean
kind of
something?
driving. It's quite driving, and then there's that kind of breakdown, and then you kind of launch. So I just thought, and it's the first track I've finished, so it was just
The first track you finished?
Yeah.
Seriously? How long have you been making music for?
Been tinkering for a few years, but never finished anything.
So are you telling me that you finished the first track you ever finished in the Leap?
Yes.
Oh, right. Excuse me. I'm just going to have to... and maybe even a... Right. So well done. Well done, Jamie. Well, I tell you what. If that's the first track you ever finished, that's just brilliant. Well done. So yeah, I mean, really, really good. For a first, gosh, she should hear the first track I ever finished. So yeah, that's great. Okay. Keep going, and whatever happens here, don't change that. That's finished. You're done. Okay. So move on to the next. That is the most value you get. You've already learned the majority of what you're going to learn from finishing this track. Okay. So that's the first thing to say. But let's just talk about this in relation to what you can take forward. So, okay, you may not have thought about a purpose beyond making people dance, but it's going to make this conversation and what you do in the future easier if you do. Okay, so what could the purpose of this track be, having listened to it back now? What could it be expressing?
No.
Well, let's just do it the easiest way. There's lots of different ways you could do this, right? And by the way, you don't need to have a purpose of a piece of music until you've actually kind of made the first idea. So you'd have to go in and go, right, I'm going to express, yeah. So it's almost like it doesn't matter. You can come up with a purpose afterwards. It just makes everything a lot easier when you have one. Okay. So what emotion do you feel when you listen to it, and not like fear when playing it to lots of people on YouTube, but literally, if you were listening, what's the emotion it brings up?
That it's quite a driving, mechanical section, and then you've got kind of a piano bit, so it's kind of electronic versus played instruments, if that makes sense. So kind of digital versus, I suppose.
Oh, okay, brilliant. All right, so maybe that's a good one. I've often thought about that. So digital versus sort of electronic versus organic, or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. All right, so that's great. So that's there we have a purpose. The purpose of this track is to express or kind of investigate sort of digital versus organic.
Man versus machine.
Man versus machine. Brilliant. Well, from my Zentor stuff, that's very much what I'm into as well. Okay, so man versus machine. All right, so in what way does this piece of music kind of express that aside from the instrumentation? So you've got the let me just ask you that question. So in what way does this piece of music currently sort of serve that purpose aside from the instrumentation?
Stuck.
Right. So that basically is I think where I would give the feedback is that now obviously you didn't have that purpose beforehand, but this is the value of a purpose. Because I think if there's anything I would say about this track, it's certainly in terms of the arc anyway, is that it's, I mean, I know it's sort of intentionally this, then that, then this, then that, then this, then that, but it's almost like it could be clearer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like the and when I say it could be clear, I don't mean it's all very, very like the parts are very clear and you can hear everything. I'm talking about really the structure of the track. It's like if you really wanted to express the man in the machine thing, then it's almost like the sections could be more defined, if you like.
Yeah, more contrasting.
Yes, and it be because it's like it's kind of and this is overstating it, so please don't. But it's like it's erring towards the hodgepodge. Yeah. And
okay.
And the thing, like, so for instance, hang on, where are we? This bit.
The breakdown.
Yeah. Which is very, it's very nice, but it's like, why is that there? That was the question. What is the purpose of that bit?
A bit of relief from the beats that's so far, a breakdown, almost a C-section or like a middle eight.
No, right, absolutely. So it is a bit of relief, but it's like it's there, and then it's sort of it's almost like it serves no musical purpose beyond a bit of relief from everything else. Does that make sense? Yeah, and so I'm not saying it works. It definitely works, but it's like it never comes back. It's just like, oh, now there's this thing, and now we're back there again. Yeah. So it's almost like you've got these strands, and you've not exactly tied them together. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you could have had a relief from what was going on before it without having those new parts there. You could have done that. I'm not saying you should have done that. You could have. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which would have made it more understandable. Yeah, and it's not that again, everything that I'm saying, I'm not like, it's terrible, what have you done?
No, it's great. I welcome your feedback.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not sure I'm not sure where I am sometimes when I'm listening to it. Oh, okay, so what is this now? There's almost like, when you know what the purpose is and how you're delivering on that purpose with each of these different things, the arc, the thing, the hook, and the space, it's like you want to give people this sort of sense of certainty, and then take that certainty away, but you've got it controlled, if you like, because you know how you're going to give them that certainty back. Yeah, so you create this tension. Yeah, by creating uncertainty, and then you just give it back to them. So with this piece of music, it was sort of very kind of episodic. Yeah. And then there was this bit in the middle. I was like, oh, okay. And it sort of, nothing was done with that afterwards. And it's not that you necessarily have to have this synth, arpeggiator running all the way through the rest of the track, but it's almost like it kind of came in from nowhere and then just disappeared without a trace. Okay.
There are some elements that come back up towards the end. It's a bit of a everything in the kitchen at the end.
Okay, so there's so there are some chords coming in there in the background. Yeah. No, I mean, I think you're moving towards it, but also before it here. So look, I mean, one of the things about music that if people are earlier on in their journey, if they've not made much music, is usually there's too much in there, too many ideas. Yeah. And I think you've pulled this off. I do actually think you've pulled this off. But what I'm saying is you could have very easily, without that stuff in the middle, have made a very, very, a track that would work brilliantly with just the two things, which is, sorry.
Right. Just the A and the B.
Just the A and the B. I'm not saying that is the right thing to do, but I'm certainly saying it would make it more understandable in a way. Yeah.
Cool.
So I think where you want to have a look is, how do I make music which is simpler but more interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have any ideas about how you might do that?
Not with this track. I think I would just, because I've got several other bits through the machine that I can apply that to. I think they're in.
I mean,
discovery stage.
Yeah, I mean, I can give you a couple of suggestions, and we'll just use this track as a model. Again, You finish this track. This track is finished. It works. Yeah. It's great, right? So I just want to make this really clear, right? So. So, for instance, that bass line, I mean, I know it's slightly different rhythm, yeah. So that's a 2-bar bass line. You can basically make that same bass line into a 4 or 8-bar bass line simply by just switching up something about it every other 2 bars. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you go, so that's the first 2-bar chunk, and just go, or I mean, not that, but something, yeah. So now you've got a 4-bar thing, yeah. But then, so you've got a 4-bar thing, and then if you did something slightly different on the 8th bar, then you've got an 8-bar pattern, but it's the same bass line, basically.
Okay.
So that instantly means that you're now looping at 8 rather than 2. Yeah, I mean, you can even just remove a note, yeah, or just change a slight bit of velocity or something so that it just does something slightly different. And people won't notice I mean, you can do something big or you can do something small. People won't notice the change, but that it won't be so, because one of the reasons people put more and more stuff in is because it's repeating at that frequency. I don't mean sound frequency, looping frequency. Yeah. Similarly, now we're talking about hook, by the way. We're really in the hook area of paths. Yeah. So this bit, this might be even clearer to you on this one. So that part, the kind of vocal, that's also looping at 2 bars.
So it needs a bit more variety.
Well, it's
4th and 8th.
Yeah, I mean, you don't. So what you could do is you could have the bass line looping at every 2 bars, and that vocal thing looping at 4 bars or 8 bars. Yeah, or even something weird. It's what I do a lot. Something weird like 6 bars. Because then it only loops, I can't even work it out, but it's like, it takes a long time to actually reach the same thing again. Yeah. And so if you go, but also in terms of making that part more hooky, that yeah. So you've got a question and answer there. Dun 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 dun. That's the question. Bum 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 bum. Yeah, I'm a terrible singer. Bum 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 bum. Yeah, 2 halves. So that's a question and answer. You can actually make a question and answer out of that question and answer. Yeah. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Yeah. So now you've got question answer, and this question answer is the question, and this question answer is the answer. Yeah. So you got nested question and answers. Now that creates a very pleasing to your hooks. okay, and it extends the loop as well, particularly if you do what I did, say with the other part and make the bass repeat at a different frequency. Yeah. That basically extends the loop even more and makes it even more interesting. And also you're getting the benefit of the question and answer thing.
Cool.
Okay. So that is one way. And what you will find is, because I think one of the reasons that you added more stuff is because you said yourself, it's a relief from what comes before it. And the reason you felt you needed more relief was because it was repeating, so much of it is repeating at the same 2-bar frequency.
Yeah.
I shouldn't use frequency. That's it's confusing because I'm not talking about, sound frequency. Yeah. Is that all understandable, Jamie?
Yeah. Sorry, just broke up a bit there, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Really helpful.
But yeah. So I think that's really where you want to take a look. Is have a look at your parts and your hooks, and it's like, how often are they repeating? Are they all repeating at the same frequency? Yeah. But great work. Great work. I mean, even for like a 50th track, that would be great work. So well done, Jamie. just up the different type of up the different type of frequency, which is the frequency of finishing, and you'll be doing great.
Great, thank you.
All right, nice one.
Cheers.
Okay, let's move on to Wade. Hi, Wade.
Hello. Is it coming through?
It is. How are you doing?
Yep. Cool. I'm doing well.
Okay, let's have a listen.
Doing well. Little New Zealand. Getting cold.
Yeah, it's getting a bit chilly here too. Believe it or not. Where are you in New Zealand?
Cromwell, Central Otago, just out of Queenstown.
Okay. Oh, it's quite chilly down there, isn't it? Can get pretty cold.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's have a listen to this. Oh yeah, and also with the Leap. You're from the Leap 9 as well, aren't you? This is your first class of the Leap.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how did you find it? Of interest.
I found it fantastic. Really, really good. It's such a good process to just get out of your own way a little bit, which I still do. But just to produce a whole lot of music and as you said, just move away from it. So you've got different songs, you can just put one aside, come back to something else and just refresh.
Wonderful. And how long have you been making music? What's your...
I've been doing live, so the guitaring stuff for probably over 10 years, but sort of at a basic level and into cover bands. But electronically, probably about 3-4 years or so, on and off.
Okay.
Very much on and off, as per most people. Start with a little flurry and then put it down and then come back. Yes.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, more on than off now that you've got the system.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So since you learned the automatic music machine, is it more on than off?
It's during the Leap, it was all on.
Yeah.
Like everyone else, you get really quite obsessed with it, which is great. And then afterwards, once you start, life gets in the way and you start to slow down again. So it's just kicking yourself back into gear.
Absolutely.
And just going through. And obviously I have some technical issues recently, which it's put a break on. Actually, it was a bit frustrating.
That's really frustrating.
Computer's back now, so.
Oh, well, that's good. Yeah, no, computers breaking, and it's just, it's the worst. Anyway. All right, let's have a listen. Just going to turn it down first to make sure we're not. Okay, great. So, Wade, listening back to that in this very unusual and probably very nerve-wracking situation, what was your first like your feedback to yourself?
Pretty much as I've been discussing, I've just probably over instrumentalizing it, I guess, putting too much in, overcrowding it.
Yes, there's a lot. There's
a little bit.
Oh, hang on, what's going on? Sorry, I just forgot to press. Okay, yeah. So so there's a lot going on in there.
Yeah.
And the problem is with when you put a lot in, is, well, for one thing, the listener doesn't know what they're supposed to be listening to. Yeah. And the second thing is it becomes very difficult for you as the maker of the music to know what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's just talk about what is. I mean, you might not have thought of this before, but it's okay. We can come up with it now, and it will help you. Yeah. So what is the purpose of this piece of music?
It's more sort of introspective of sort of an emotional journey.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of stuff was a bit dark and then light and stuff, just when things hit you from external sources and how you're dealing with it.
Oh, okay. So it's like you're kind of in. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like you're kind of in some kind of funk, yeah. And I don't mean musical funk.
Yep.
Yeah, and basically, what external forces like hit you and make you feel, bring you out of yourself, or the opposite way around?
Right, so it's a bit of both. It's sort of that darker side when you're in that thing. Then it's the fight against it, I guess, when it gets a bit more heavy, versus the lighter side, and then the piano's in there as a bit of light relief.
Okay,
just
cool.
To, you know.
So essentially, it's like the contrast between dark and light.
Yes.
Yeah, and is there because you're also talking about the outside and the inside. Are you thinking that the inside is dark and the outside is light, or is it the opposite way around, or is it a bit of both?
Well, it can switch. That's the thing, but it's probably the inside can be dark and there's lighter forces, or there's something on the outside that can,
Oh, okay. So
the darkness in as well.
Oh, okay. So it's like, yes, the darkness can come from within, or the darkness can come from without, and the light can come from within, and the light can come from without. Maybe that is the purpose of this track.
Yes.
Okay, brilliant.
Yes, and the dealing with it. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and well, yeah. I mean, I suppose the dealing with it is the making of the music and the listening to the music. Right. So the piano and the strings, is that the light stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, that's describing the light stuff, and then the kind of that kind of stuff. That's the dark stuff.
The dark atmospheric, the bass and the darker synths.
Right, and then in terms of the inside and the out, how is that being expressed? What are you thinking about in terms of that?
Let's wait for that to come. Oh, there you are.
Yeah. Sorry. So is the inside and the out? How is that kind of coming through in the music?
Well, probably in the music, it's probably more of the working with the door itself, and then potentially outside instruments and things like that as well.
Oh, I see. So
the differences in and playing versus programming.
Okay, so the inside is
how I've done it.
Oh, brilliant. All right. So the way that you're kind of, the metaphor is that in the box is inside, and playing and the kind of real instruments is the outside.
Yes,
I like it.
If I've played it live, which is why so I've left the mistakes in there with the piano, or it's not clean playing, but that's what's in there.
Love it. Yeah, no, I'm always living all my mistakes in all the time. Have to because I do it live. So anyway, actually, in the live stream I'm doing tomorrow, I'm going to be working on a track. The production session. I'm going to be working on a track where I was getting so excited with what I was playing at the time. There's so many mistakes in it. It's ridiculous. It's like wrong notes all over the place. Anyway, so okay, well that's cool. Right, so I get it. Okay, so really, we've got the strings, we've got the vocal, and we've got the piano. Yeah, and then we've got the drums, obviously, and we've got the kind of electronic stuff. And at the moment, the way that they sort of come in and out, and I know it might not be this, but what it sounds as to somebody who isn't in your head, is that it's relatively random.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it just sort of this, then that, then the other. What I would like to see in terms of the arc of this is for you to, I mean, you could just almost make it way, way, way simpler for yourself and everybody else by going, right, I'm going to start dark, then I'm going to go light, and then I'm going to go dark again. Or I'm going to start light, then I'm going to go dark, and then I'm going to go light again. Or like dark, light, or light, dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because while that might seem that it's kind of almost too simple, with music, you really can't, I mean, particularly, you just can't be too simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it just gives people know where they are. Yeah. And it's really the tension between the light and the dark that is going to make this piece of music work. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I said it sounds random, does it sound random to you, or does it? Are you kind of?
Well, it is. That's where I've sort of when I've been trying to make music go into the electronic side, the whole get the reference track and do the arrangements things, I didn't quite gel with.
Yes.
I felt I didn't want to be boxed in like that. So some of the stuff just, as I said, this comes from the splurges, so it's sort of just I let it go semi-organically, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I understand what you mean. I didn't want to be boxed in. The thing is that limitations are actually, they're what make you more creative. Yeah. It's like,
I have noticed that.
Yeah, exactly. And by boxing yourself in a way, I mean, you're actually becoming more free.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when we can do anything, we do nothing.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like, and when it is kind of anything, it's nothing. And I'm not saying this track is nothing. I'm just saying it's like it becomes sort of flat. It doesn't go anywhere because it's doing this, then that, and the other. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's that's really the main thing about this. And the other thing is with the ideas for it. So, for instance, with the piano part, I mean, it sounds like you were playing it, as you said, you played it in, and it was live.
Yes.
Let me just see if I can find a bit. Got it. It was massively. Right. So with those notes, yeah.
Yep.
If you could make it more hooky, yeah, with the same, I mean, it's basically the same part, yeah, by just thinking about the structure of it. Again, in a sense, boxing yourself in, right? But sorry. I keep on playing the wrong note. I mean, that is very, very simple. I'm not saying it's good, right?
Yeah.
But for instance, it's for instance, it's something that the human ear can understand immediately, right?
Yep.
Question.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and then it comes back to the same thing again. Yeah. So that could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's lots of different variations around that, which just create this kind of little. So this is a motif, a little motif that you've got in there, and I keep playing the wrong note. That's a little motif as well. What can you do with those two motifs to create these little hooks? It would sound the same in a way. It would be the same thing, but it would just be much more kind of literally a hook that you can hook. You know, the ear can go, oh, it's that thing.
Yeah.
Because again, at the moment, it's like, I mean, you can do that in the middle, right? So you could start, you know, with a. Yeah, and again, I'm not saying that, because that might not be something that you want to do, but something like that. And then later on, you know, sort of. Whoops. Why do I keep on playing an F sharp? Oh. Yeah, you can go and do your little solo thing in the middle. Yeah, I mean, when you play the guitar, right? So, I mean, you know, when you're talking about a guitar band, the whole thing isn't a solo, usually.
No.
There's a this is the part, and then usually you know, this is the riff, and then they take that riff and then they go and solo on it. Yeah. So again, the part that I played probably isn't the part that you want to do, because I was just doing it in the moment, but take those little motivic elements that you've played and turn them into something that is kind of that. Yeah. And I think
that's a good idea. It's going to be easier for me too.
Yeah, and that will really, really, really help. And the other thing, the final thing, just about the this is about the space now. So now we're on to the space. So we've talked about the arc, we've talked about the hook, and we're about to talk about the space. And by the way, I won't talk, as I said, I won't talk about everything. But this, where was it? Where was it? Oh, right here, yeah. Have you got headphones on by any chance, Wade?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So just listen to what's going on in your stereo field, right? Can you hear how everything is like that?
Yep.
Apart from the drums, which are in the middle, right? Now, you can do the drums in the middle and other things at the side, but there's literally like something there and everything else there, and then there's these big holes here. And I'm not saying you have to fill up. I'm not saying you have to fill up the entire stereo, like put everything perfectly like put like that. You know, so it's around like it's like a semicircle. You don't. That's not what I'm saying at all. But it's like you've got a bunch of stuff either side, and those things could be placed sort of else. Some of them could be placed elsewhere. I'm not saying everything. And that would create because the thing is, when you've got everything somewhere, it becomes flat. So just think about the kind of where these things could be, not just in the stereo field, but also up and down, and in terms of depth as well.
Yes, something I need to work more on, definitely.
But
place them.
I mean, hopefully that's given you some direction for your future tracks.
Right, absolutely.
Yes,
indeed.
Yeah, great work, Wade. And don't let life get in the way. Just do those little sessions like we teach you the automatic
music. Use it as motivation for music, mate.
That's
motivation for music.
Exactly. Brilliant. Nice one, Wade. And
awesome, Mike.
Hopefully you don't get too cold. Although I think that's probably
no, that's right. Mate.
Fighting a losing battle there.
Enjoy snowboard.
Yes, exactly. Well, exactly. There are some upsides. Brilliant. All right, so let's move on to Neil. Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Hi. How you doing?
Hey, doing good. Thanks. How are you?
Fantastic. I'm good. So you're also a Leap Niner. You did the
Yes,
first
sir.
class to Leap, and so how did you find it? What was your experiences?
How did I find it? Well, it was super interesting experience. Pretty intense too, but in a good way, I think.
How much music? How much
Um,
music did you get? How did you do with the music?
Great. I mean, I made a lot of music I wouldn't have made otherwise. I did about 50 to 60 splurges, I think. A lot of it, quite a lot in draft and done,
Brilliant. Awesome.
and a few in release also. So I really like the ATM, the whole concept of that. So
Yeah.
that's super. No,
MM.
sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. No. Yeah.
That's a really helpful
Yes.
system. So for me, that's great because the finishing part was always super difficult. Like I'm really good at generating new ideas, but then you get just the basic blues that everybody has, which is why you're also making this program, right?
Yeah. No. Exactly. I mean, it's all about finishing. That's really what the. I wish it was an ATM. Because then they'd be like, it would be the automatic cash machine, but we'll have to do.
If you're really good at the AM, it's going to become an ATM.
Well, that's exactly it. That exactly when you because really the automatic music machine is almost like an automatic practice machine, and I mean one of the things that totally blew my mind when I started making music was just the very thought that I can make something of value to other people out. I mean, when you've got the equipment, so let's assume you got the equipment. I can make something of value to somebody out of thin air. Yeah, it doesn't exist, and then it exists. That just totally blew my mind. So yeah, hopefully it does become an ATM sooner rather than later. Right.
Yeah, I'm counting on that.
Yeah, exactly. You've been starting live streaming as well. You've been just really fully going for it with the magnet model as well, haven't you?
Not yet. I've released a few videos.
Oh, that's it. So you've done a few videos. I've noticed you are posting stuff on that you're doing on YouTube. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be live streaming, by the way. But yeah.
It may become live streaming in a certain while.
Yeah, I mean the great thing about live streaming is that once you set it up, it's actually really easy to do. The bad thing about live streaming is that all of the effort, not all of the effort, most of the effort is front loaded. Yeah, so like the fear and all of that kind of stuff and the setup and making sure it all works, as you've noticed from this live stream, for instance, it's all at the front. Yeah, so you've got this mountain to climb, but then it's like you just going down the mountain on a toboggan. Yes. Yeah, whereas with a video, it's like the effort is throughout. Yeah, it's like because you've got to edit it and that kind of stuff. Anyway. So let's have a listen. So how long have you been making music, Neil? Oh, I think I've lost you. Hello, Neil. I can't hear you. Oh, there we go. You're back.
About 10 years making my own original music. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. And how much music have you finished in that time?
Quite a few things, but I haven't really had any proper releases apart from some Bandcamp stuff.
Okay.
And then I had a lot of stuff on. I put a lot of stuff on SoundCloud over the years, but it's a lot of like demo. A lot of it is like demo style stuff.
Okay.
In terms of like no mastering and no proper releases on any labels, on any,
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's give this a go. Hopefully, this won't be too loud coming through because I'm now playing it out of Slack. So let's have a listen. If it is, I might have to download it and do it a different way. But let's find out. I think we're okay. Awesome. Are you a drummer by any chance, Neil?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, could tell. And that's you on the drums, presumably.
Say what?
Is that you on the drums?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that really, that groove. Where is it? When the double time thing comes. Sorry, triplety thing, and not double time. Triplety thing.
Yes.
Yeah, like just no. It was like either this guy's a drummer or he's like the most amazing programmer of beats I've ever. So yeah, absolutely great. So listening to that yourself in this unusual context, shall we say? What was the feedback you would give yourself?
I still like it. I still like the track, which doesn't always happen when I listen back to stuff, and especially in this context.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it works. I think it works as a track. Yeah, I mean, you can always change things. You can change the arrangement and stuff.
What?
I think it's all right. I was worried that there was like maybe too much lengthy parts or like not enough tension or not enough changes, but I think it works.
Right. So Neil, there's one thing I would say. I'm again. This is one of those ones where I'm like, don't go changing it because what it is good. Yeah, but it's just with what you've just said. I've now got an alarm bell going off. Okay, because it's like you said. I was worried that there are two bits that go on for too long, and that might need to be more changes. To be honest with you, you've managed to make too many changes work. I don't know how you did it, right? But it's like when I say too many, I don't mean that there are too many because obviously it works, right? But you're in no danger of there being too few changes.
All right.
Like zero danger. I mean, in 4 minutes, it's like you could. I mean, I'm not saying to do this. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do because, this is more of a subjective thing. But you could theoretically make 5 tracks out of that piece of music easily.
Yeah.
I could. I could probably make 10 actually. But then, but again,
you can do some remixes.
Exactly. But it's like it's not. Again, this kind of music, the kind of music you're making. I think it requires. I mean, it's almost like jazz. Yeah, it's like it's it sort of shifts. That's its nature. So then, if you did make 10 pieces of music out of that track, then it would be something different, and it wouldn't be what it is. So I totally get that, right? But one of the things you want, and I think one of the things that you said was, I think there's enough tension and release there. And I think in the next phrase you said, I don't think it, I was worried that it needed more changes, blah, 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 as if more changes are going to create more tension and release.
Yes. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, that's not how it works. It's the opposite way around.
Yes.
Yeah, if anything, any lack of tension and release is because the listener, I mean, you really do take us on a journey, and you drew me in. You're like, it really did draw me in, and then I wanted to listen to it, and I wanted to understand it. Right? And I would have to listen to it again, and probably a few more times, and then eventually, once I knew what was going to happen next, that's when I would probably really start to enjoy it. Not that I didn't enjoy it now, because I enjoyed the experience of being drawn in. Right? But it's like, it's definitely, it requires listening. Yeah, I wouldn't call it easy listening, put it that way, which is fine, which is, I'm sure, exactly what you want. Right? So but if anything, think about how you could simplify. Right,
yes.
Because if you listen to like
one of my issues.
Yeah, it's like if you listen to like something like John Coltrane,
Yes.
it's actually, yes, it's complicated, but it's simple in its complexity.
Yeah.
Or Aphex Twin or Square Pusher or anyone who makes complex music. It's actually at its base level very simple. It's just doing complex things within the simplicity of the structure.
Yes.
Yeah, and this, I mean, it's like it's highly how would I describe it? It's sort of at a very high technical level what you're doing. Right? It's displaying an enormous amount of ability, sort of skills. Yeah, and the way that you place things in the space and what you're doing, like with playing, and I mean how you've managed to make so much stuff work. It's a very high level, but the only thing is that it's in danger of tipping over into just like it being flat because there's so much going on.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, there was one bit here at the end, and I just was desperate. And again, now we're talking about subjective rather than objective. I just wanted to hear this bit. And you just get this bit, and then it goes off somewhere else, and I was like, oh! I just wanted that. I was like, oh, that's sick. So let's just kind of. So that's just a broad thing. It's like I think you could retain what it is and simplify it a lot, certainly in terms of the number of things that happen. Yeah.
Yes.
Or if you didn't want to do that, have something that goes all the way through it or always comes back.
Yes.
I mean, maybe there is that, but it was hard for me to perceive that because there was so much changing.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
The only thing that kind of seemed to be the same was the sound palette.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the sound palette and the vibe kind of was maintained, but everything else, everything else changed. And again, you got me with it. So what am I talking about? I might be talking absolute nonsense. Yes. So, but let's kind of actually kind of think about how you might do that. So what is, what could be the purpose of this track?
Well, one of the things is that what interests me in when I make music is also what the other fellow leaper said. I forgot his name, about the combination of electronic stuff and then human, handmade music kind of thing. So obviously there's electronic beats and there's live drumming in there. And then there's these vocal samples from the subway, like Berlin subway.
Mm-hmm.
this is also like a human element, and then you have DFAM, and
I thought I could hear my friend in there. Yeah. Okay. So you got the DFAM in there as well. Cool.
It's a drummer from another mic.
Exactly. So yeah. So okay. So.
But it's the mix of like I like to call it a collage music, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, where like you make a collage of different elements, and you try to make that work. I try to make that work, which sometimes works and sometimes it doesn't. But that's what I guess what interests me, like a kind of an abstract painting, or not even abstract, just a combination of different elements that maybe some people may say they don't really belong together, but then you put them together and they create something new. So
yes,
and then it could be something. I like it when people can listen to music on different levels. So it can be like a body thing. So you can dance to it, you can move to it, you can experience it in a physical bodily way, sort of. Like whatever, 5 o'clock in the morning in a club or something. But you can also you can listen to it, like you said, in a jazzy way. So you listen to it into the elements.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In a more, I don't want to say brainy. I don't like that. But
on a more
like you listen to jazz, and you listen to the different, how the musicians interact and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, on a more kind of analytical level, if you like. So where you're kind of
in a good way.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with analysis as long as we know that it's not the only thing. so because I'm just thinking about how you might. If we just take this idea of man versus machine, and while at the same time keeping it abstract and having this shifting journey, if you like, because it's almost like it was a journey that didn't go anywhere. Maybe that's what you want, which is fine, but it's almost like it kind of like again, it might be what you want, in which case, tell me to shut up. But it's like
no, interesting.
Yeah. It's like, how could you make it so that it arrives somewhere? Because it, or maybe it comes back somewhere, or maybe something is reinterpreted. Yeah, because and I did actually like this about it, is that it just was like this kind of ever shifting amorphous thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that may be exactly what you're going for. I keep on coming back to that because it was really good in a way, but how could you do it to make it more understandable earlier on, if you like? Yeah, maybe you don't want to do that. I don't know, but what would? How could you make it so that you would make it clearer that this is about the man and the machine thing? What would you do? You're obviously a very accomplished musician, so what might you do?
Here I could introduce the vocal samples earlier, or actually at the very beginning, like this, the subway personnel announcing that the next exit is here and whatever. That could be one thing.
Mm-hmm.
To start with the vocal samples before actually the music starts. So you get this you have this context, you have like a setting.
Mm-hmm.
Where people know, okay, you're on the subway and you're going through Berlin, whatever.
Yeah.
Or whatever city.
Yeah,
that's one idea.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is just an idea, but a way of actually maintaining what it is. Not because I'm not trying to give you feedback to make your music more like what I would do, because that would make it 1,000 million times worse, right? So I'm just kind of thinking about it more objectively than that, right? It's like with music that has this sort of shifting quality to it, one thing that you could do is make it actually come back to something multiple times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like, it can be something really like weird and out there. Yeah, so it could be something very strange, but it's always the same. So it goes thing, and then it goes and does what you do so well, yeah, and then it kind of goes thing again, yeah, and then it does something else, and then it goes thing again, yeah. So you're always, it's like you're landing somewhere, and I have a feeling that that might do so, like create more of this tension and release that because you obviously you're obviously thinking about that, so it's obviously a concern in your mind. Does this have enough tension and release? And the only thing I wonder about with this music, on the understanding that I really liked it for what it was. It's very strange giving feedback sometimes, but anyway, so on the understanding that I really liked it for what it was, there's the one thing I wonder about is about the tension and release as well, is it just changing so much that there isn't that, or could there be more? Yeah.
Say it again. Could there be more?
Yeah. So could there be more? Could you create more tension and sort of deliver a release by introducing a thing that comes back, essentially?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, Neil, fantastic. It's
Thank you.
yeah. I know we had a conversation in one of the Leap calls about is there anyone? Was it you? I think it was. Who was like, is there anyone who's going to want to hear this, or is that right?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about live streaming and about the goals of live streaming and how do you define success
Yes.
in live streaming, and what do you do if there's only 5 people listening or 10 people, even after a year of doing this? Are you going to despair, or are you going to, how do you keep going? How do you keep your motivation going? And how do you define your success, and what are your goals? What are your aims?
Yeah, I mean, I think with what you're doing, there's definitely a market for this. But like, without a shadow of a doubt, just think about how to make it as what it is as it is, while still, but also increase. It's almost like give people a chance. Yeah, because they're not in your head. Yeah, so you've kind of got to give them signposts. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, great work, love it. Excellent. All right, so let's move on to Ben. Just got a couple more, and then I will go and, after listening to all this wonderful music, I'm going to go and play my music. It's probably going to sound terrible after this. Over on the Zentor. Mike Mondelli. We just did a ping pong situation. You're going to have to press unmute again, Ben.
Hello.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing? I'm
very well. So, what was your experience of the Leap like? It was your first Leap as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is our first time through. Yeah, it was a game changer, really, in terms of the creative output. Yeah,
you did ridiculous, didn't you? What did you end up doing? What was it?
8 tracks into release, yeah, and a couple of them have been released on the SoundCloud already, which have been good. But yeah, compared to previously, that's multiple times more than I've been producing. So yeah.
Wonderful. And is it still going? Because we finished a few weeks ago, didn't we? So is it? Are you still managing to maintain the machine?
Yeah, it's still cycling through. I've got a few more into release now as well. But yeah, I've got quite a busy sort of work at the minute, and it's getting quite nice here in England, so spending a bit more time outside. So it's not quite as intense as it was.
What?
Yeah.
You're spending more time? How dare you? That's absolutely wonderful. That's good. I mean, it must be quite a relief after the absolutely appalling, goodness knows how many months the UK has had. Obviously, most of my not all of my family. Some of them are in India, but anyway, who are also having an appalling time. But yeah, my mum and a lot of my family and friends are in the UK, so must be nice for it to be kind of, well, not over, but a bit over, and the sun be out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Right, let's have a listen to Natives. Let's turn it up a bit. Okay, great. All right, so again, in this slightly unusual and probably quite nerve-wracking context, so, what was your self-feedback on this?
This is something I've sort of had as thought before when listening to this track, but it's sort of, I guess, is more prominent now. Is that I feel that this first sort of section, or the part before the breakdown where the piano part comes in, is, I don't want to say weaker because that's not quite what I mean, but I think it's got less musical elements which I like, I guess, in it compared to the second half. And I maybe, think that it might be a good idea to maybe transfer some of those parts from the second part to the first part. But then again, I don't know whether that would be at the detriment of the arc of the track if I was to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
I do quite like the arc of it.
Personally. Yeah. I mean, again, like I mean, it's like there's nothing in there that isn't working, and it depends. I mean, it depends what it is that you're doing in general with your music. I mean, because you could, I mean, theoretically, and again, this is theoretically, you could make it simpler, and it would still work. But then it would be something slightly different. Yeah. Because again, it kind of, let me just, hang on, I'll turn it up. Hang on, I'm getting a message that I maybe didn't share original sound. I thought I did, but maybe I didn't. Hang on, let me give 2 secs.
No.
Stop share. Oh, there we go. I forgot to do that. Sorry, guys. Sorry, leapers. Oh, I've now done it. All right. So. Should be. Actually, I don't need to do that because I've got it coming in a different way. Okay, cool. Right. So yeah. So if we listen to this part, for instance. Right, so we've got that, and we've got that, yeah, the piano thing, which is great, by the way. Then we got that. Sounds really good, by the way, Ben. It really. That's very good. Okay, then we got that, which maybe has a little bit of that in there, but only just. So this bit, it's like it happens, and then something else happens, then something else happens. Mm-hmm. Right? And so it's like what I was saying to Jamie. It's not that it doesn't work exactly. It's just that it's what's the point? This could sound harsh. I don't mean it to sound harsh, but what is the point of this bit? What's the purpose of that? Musically,
I think it's sort of setting the. I think the purpose of the whole track was I took some samples from some Maori singing, which I've always wanted to do because I visited New Zealand a couple of years ago, and it was just a sort of inspiration for me. Mm-hmm. And so, looking at this sort of track, the purpose was behind it, just to sort of tell a story of like the travels. So I guess the fact that it moves from one place to another and then moves on from that is not. I think that's what it wants to be essentially.
Okay, so it starts somewhere, and then it goes somewhere else, and then it goes somewhere else. So that, and I mean, it definitely does that. But the only question I have is, can you do that and it make musical sense as well? And I'm not saying it doesn't make any musical sense, Ben. Right, we're talking about improving something that's already good. Okay, So just recognize that. I'm not like this work. As I said, it works. But would it work? Would it work even better as a piece of music if this bit was more related to what happened afterwards? Right? I mean, it's not that it isn't. I mean, there are some similarities, but there's nothing. I tell you, and it's funny because it's exactly what you said. You said this bit it feels like it's weaker, and I'm not sure it is weaker. I just think what it is that it's like this is. It almost is like this is musical throat clearing. Yeah, like, right, here we go. Shuffle papers, and then we start here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, that's a very harsh way of saying what I'm trying to say, because I do think it actually works. And the reason that it's like musical throat clearing is that these two sections are very clearly part of the same track, and this is less clearly part of the same track. Yeah. And actually taking somebody on a journey from here to there musically doesn't necessarily mean doing something completely different here as is there. What it usually means is taking something that's the same, even just one thing that's the same, and then reinterpreting it in multiple different ways. What gives you the sense of a journey is that there is this thing, because a journey isn't like everything. Like, in order for there to be a journey, something has to be present, which is the same, i.e. you. Right? And like in music, like metaphorically speaking, that would probably want to be something. Like, often it's a hook, but it doesn't have to be a hook. It could be a beat, or it could be a... Yeah, and yes, it's almost like it's similar to what I was saying to Neil, is that the vibe and the sounds are in the same... sort of remain similar. Yeah. The palette and the vibe, but nothing else is. And that is the only question I have, is like, would it be more satisfying? And it was interesting that you did actually pick up on it, saying about this section. Would it be more satisfying to say, choose something and then reinterpret it in the way that you have throughout, so there's a thread going through, so to give you that sense that there is a my internet connection.
Yes, got you.
Hi, I'm back. All right. Yes. So I don't know where did I get up to before I got cut off.
To be honest, I can't remember.
I can't remember. Yeah. No, I was saying. Yeah. Yeah. It was like okay. So when there's in a journey, something is present throughout you. Yeah. And so, in terms of music, if you want to give the sense of a journey, then it may make more sense. Like, it may give even more of a sense of a journey if there is something present that remains throughout. Yeah. And so what does remain throughout is the sound palette and the vibe. Yeah, but what if there was a theme, or what if there was a beat, or what, I don't know, it's like a thing that people can latch onto. And then as that thing moves through and the things change around it, it creates more of a sense of a journey, because there's something that well, not static exactly, but that keeps coming back, or that is there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because when you change everything, when everything is changing, you're basically staying in the same place, because everything's always changing. Does that make sense? I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive, but it's, when you really think about it, it's true. It's like everything's always changing, nothing's changing. It's just everything's changing, right? But if one thing isn't changing very much and everything's changing around it, then a lot is changing. It gives a perception of a journey. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Having said that,
contrast.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, having said that, though, it sounds great, Ben. Yeah, I mean, yeah, keep it up. Don't go outside so much. Stay inside. Make music.
Have you? It's supposed to be getting a bit colder.
It's like put yourself on an enforced lockdown. No, I'm joking. So yeah, but no, great. Yeah, I mean, what are your plans for the music that you've been finishing all of these releases?
So I've got a couple of more SoundCloud. Well, I've set up a different alias, which will be something which I'm sort of going to try and start putting music out. I'm toying with the idea of every week. I mean, I know it's possible. It's definitely feasible for me to do that, but yeah, just getting the music out there is the first thing. And yeah, I mean, the last week of the Leap was a little overwhelming in some ways, thinking about, because I've never sort of really put my music out there or created a business around it and anything like that before. So just taking a step at a time, though.
I know, absolutely. I mean, the whole thing, yeah, it is overwhelming, but there is. I mean, it's, if there was ever a time, it's now. For so many different reasons, as you can see, as a result, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, both to demonstrate and also because I'm like, right, well, in the whole of my life, there's never been a better time, so I'm going to do it myself right now. But yeah, I mean, you do have to take it. You want to take it just one little step at a time, baby steps. I mean, you've got the machine running, you're making great music, you're making a lot of it, which is, I mean, that's literally probably 80%. Well, maybe, I don't know, it depends. But it's 80% of the battle, really. So great. Mm-hmm. Nice one, Ben.
Great. Thanks, Mike.
All right, cheers. Let's move on to last but definitely not least, Akara. Our good friend Akara, who's been in the Leap for a long time. Oh no, we did a ping pong. There we go. You're gonna have to press on mute again, Akara.
There I am.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, very well. How are you, Mike?
Very good, very good. So when did you start in the Leap? It was a while back now, wasn't it?
I feel like it was the Leap 6 or 7.
Okay, excellent. And so you've been through what, three times now? How many times?
Yeah, at least 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
This time I feel like I actually have gotten the music side of it kind of down, which is good. And now I'm starting to think about the I call it marketing, but that's not the phrase. I guess it's the channels or putting oneself out there aspect of it.
Yes. And how is that going?
Slow but good. I think I had a bit, like someone else mentioned, after that big push at the end of the Leap, I kind of was just like, oh, phew, relief. And I haven't really done anything around it. And I also was, with work, I was quite busy as well. But yeah, I think before the next Leap starts, I'll start doing stuff. I've started live streaming just because, again, it was something I wanted to get back into the habit of doing. So that's been the last couple of weeks, and it's been nice. Actually, I was live streaming my idea explosion challenge splurges.
All right, nice.
And yeah, that's next on the to-do list, I think.
Excellent. Well, let's have a listen.
Cool.
Speak the truth, people always tell me cut off the losers. Any of the carriers just be stupid. I test my character, test your character. I test my character, test your character. People always telling me to cut off the losers. Any of the carriers just be stupid. Test your character, test your character. I test my character, test your character. There's a time and a proper way to do this. Any of the ways settled by the law. Jump around with us, really score. Any other dabbling round is up and down and looks kinda dumb. Cause your friend is slipping up, you kick him out alone. Kinda hard is how you don't stay up. Oh, you've been how you always got the back. You never know, you're so tired up. You can recall from the hill slope. It's been kinda sleepy. This is how you manage it. People know I'm good, yeah. People always telling me got up the losers. Any of this racket is just plain stupid. Pick your battles, pick your battles. Pick your battles, pick your battles. People always telling me got up the losers. Any of this battles, pick your battles, pick your battles. Said you're doing it again. I would never change. I'd always try to help a friend, so I would never change for a day. I would never change for a day. You were so cold. You were so damn cold. You were so cold. You were so cold. You were so cold. You were so cold. People always tell me to cut off them losers. Any of the carriers just the stupid. I test my character, test your character. I test my character, test your character. People always telling me to cut off them losers. Any of the carriers just the stupid. Test your character, test your character. I test my character, test your character.
Great. So, in the unusual perspective that such an environment brings, what was your reaction to listening to that? Well, press pause.
Oh, I quite enjoyed it actually. Yeah, yeah. A couple of things I'm like, oh, definitely could do those better, but yeah, quite enjoyed it.
What are those things?
I mean, I'm listening on some fair to middling headphones.
Oh, sorry. It might be me. It might well be me. But I seem to have lost you. Can you try that again?
Oh, it says my connection's unstable.
Oh, okay. That's all good.
Back.
Yeah, you're back. You're back. You're all good. Yeah. So what did you just say? What were the things that that you could improve?
I think it was a little bit busy in the choruses, perhaps, and I think the mix perhaps could be improved. I haven't actually sat down and quote unquote mixed it or mastered it. I just did what I did in the Leap, and then just put it on my little playlist. And I mean, when I think about the writing process, it was literally a splurge. Like I just freestyled some random noises. And then when I listened to it back, whatever I thought I was saying, I made into lyrics.
Brilliant.
And then that was that. And I didn't actually do anything beyond that. And when I hear some of the lyrics, I'm like, they're pretty good, but they do sound a little bit random.
Well, nothing wrong with a little bit random. Yeah, no, I mean,
sure.
I'm writing lyrics at the moment, and because I'm working on this automatic song machine business, and I don't know. I actually like. I mean, this is just a personal thing, but I actually like lyrics which are open to interpretation. Do you know what I mean? It's like I reckon like hearing a song which is like pint of milk, box of cornflakes, going that. Do you know what I mean? It's like with whereas things which are like, well, what does that actually mean? That actually interests me. That's why I actually like instrumental music, because it's like it fully can mean whatever the person listening wants it to mean. Right, so random doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, I think, in terms of lyrics. And also it being random. So this is a kind of important thing to understand about the creative process. It can come out random. It can come randomly, but then you can decide that it means something, which will then make it less random.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like you think, well, it just came out randomly, therefore it's always random. Well, no, it's similar to this purpose business here. You could just randomly make a splurge, and then come back to it and go, well, it was random, but what's the purpose? What could the purpose of this track be? And then that will give you a roadmap for what to do next. So, on that note, what is the purpose of this supposedly random song?
Self-expression, and I see it sitting alongside kind of other hip hop tracks out there.
Yeah, but specifically related to this, track and what it means. I mean, it's called Honesty is the Policy .people. So what's it about? What's it expressing?
It was following that random thread, the random freestyle. It sounded like it sounded like I was saying people always tell me to cut off losers. So basically, sometimes we are judged on the people that we hang around with, and perhaps we shouldn't be so shallow. Is the main thrust of the lyric.
Okay, great. So we get judged on the people we hang around with, and what you're saying, maybe we shouldn't be so shallow in terms of
the lyric is cut off those losers,
right?
So people are like, oh, why you hang around with these people? They're losers. And it's like, well, maybe we shouldn't be so shallow. Maybe that's stupid.
Right. To judge people
judge someone
for who they hang around with,
put them in that category. Or to even to put someone into that category of a loser and say that, oh, you shouldn't associate them, you shouldn't hang out with them. Actually, maybe everyone has value, and we shouldn't be so quick to judge.
Okay, brilliant. Right. So first of all, in terms of the lyric, one of the things that works really well with these kinds of things is like doing a twist, like a turnaround. Where basically through the song it seems that you're saying one thing, and the reason I'm saying this is one of those subject areas that really works well for this kind of thing. So if you wanted to tighten up the lyrics at all, have a think about how you could say something. So that thing where there's like a chorus or a lyric where it's like it seems to be saying one thing, but then after it goes through the song, you actually realize it's saying the opposite or something different.
Like a big reveal.
Yeah, exactly. So if you wanted to think, because that is literally like, again, a journey, motion. You're taking somebody from thinking one thing to thinking another thing. Why does music move people? Because it literally moves them from one place to another. Well, not literally, literally metaphorically. So metaphorically moves them from one place to another. Yeah. So they think that you're saying this. So, you could go, I mean, this is just off the top of my head, so excuse me, but, all those losers, what a bunch of losers, losers. And then through it, you realize what you're saying is, don't call them losers. Yeah. You're a loser for calling them losers. Now, that's rubbish and terrible, but that kind of a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes total sense.
Yeah. So, but by actually identifying the purpose of the song and of the lyric, then that makes it way easier to know what the structure of the song is. Or not is, could be. Yeah. Similarly, right, and that's why it's really, I think, really helpful and really important to actually at some point, hopefully fairly early on, go, well, what could the purpose be? Now, that purpose could always change in the writing of it because you could find a different one, but that's what you want to do. Yeah. What's the essence of it? What does it mean? Like, what's it about? Now, similarly, you can do this. So that's about lyrics, right? But for the music as well, because once you've got, whether it has a lyric or doesn't have a lyric, you can do the same thing. So how could the music express this purpose that you've identified?
I mean, I'm not sure it'd work for this, but one way could be having certain themes or certain instruments that are playing together, and that would almost demonstrate, that collection of people.
Brilliant.
And then maybe that shifts or it changes, or maybe there's a type of a theme of all these instruments always play together because we are going to stick together, even though people call us losers or whatever it is.
Right.
Something like that.
Right. So, and that was just one idea that literally came off the top of your head. Can you see how identifying a purpose immediately gives you a direction for what you could try, which makes sense? Yeah, it's almost like, oh yeah, okay, that's a really good that's a really good idea. Do you know what I mean? Rather than, I'm just going to randomly try stuff. I mean, and by the way, I'm not saying randomly try stuff because that's the impression the track gave me at all. I'm just saying it's like it gives you it literally gives you a purpose. Yeah, it's like, okay, so this is serving. What I'm going to try here is serving a purpose. And I'm just before I come back to you, Akara, I'm just going to answer a question by Mr. Mojo asked a really good question. The Path asks, what's the purpose of this track? But if we start with the splurge, we wouldn't have a purpose, would we? No, we wouldn't. When do we determine what the purpose is? So it's what I was just saying. You don't have to start with the purpose, just like you don't have to start with an idea in order to make music. You can decide what the purpose is, so you can just splurge without purpose. Then listen to it and go, well, what could the purpose of this music be? What could the purpose be? Yeah, we don't have to be so linear. In fact, I would thoroughly recommend you don't. I mean, some splurges that I set do start with a purpose, right? So express fear in the next week of splurges. None of the ones in the Turbo Track Attack do. I mean, I guess I suppose the style splurge is a purpose. And then before a discovery, my first discovery, I'm going unstable again. Yep. So what I tend to do, and I'll be showing this tomorrow on live stream on this channel, where I'm doing a production session. I splurge something out, and then I think, well, what's the purpose? What could the purpose? Not what is the purpose? What could the purpose be of this track? And then that gives me some ideas about what to do next. Okay. So anyway, so you don't have to know the purpose in order to be making music. Yeah, but determining what a purpose is really helps you make choices. Okay, so in relation to this track, Akara, you mentioned something about that there being kind of a lot in there, and the choruses being different from the verses or something. Was that what?
Yeah, it's just it felt a little crowded in the verses. In the chorus. Maybe a bit too much going on.
Yes. So there was one thing about the shape of it, about the arc, if you like, that I thought it was that it wasn't very obvious where the choruses and the verses were. I mean, it kind of is, but not as obvious as it could be.
Mm.
Yeah. It's like the...
Cause your friend is slipping, you kick him out alone. Kinda hard to hide, you don't stay up. Oh, you've been how you always got the back. You never know, you're so tired up. You know we call from the hill slope. It's been kinda slippery, This is how you ride your people know I'm good, yeah. People always telling me got up the losers. Any of this racket is just plain stupid.
So was that at that point there where that beat came in? Is that a chorus? That's a chorus, right?
Yes.
Right, but I'm having to ask you that question.
Okay.
Because it sound. I mean, yes, something does change, but it's like there's. It does land. It lands certainly, but it's like, what else could you do, or what could you remove, or what could you add, or what could you remove before it, or what could you add, in order to go right? Well, you really have landed now. Yeah. If you ever listen to the music that is in the ballpark of this, you will even really sort of complicated, crafted, all that kind of stuff. It's it's like basically incredibly simple, and within that there is the detail and the complexity. Yeah. And I think that clarity of like, hey everyone, we've landed. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, signpost, chorus, here you go. It really helps people kind of, I mean, sometimes it can be just as simple as like a hat coming in or something coming out, or there being some kind of space shift. Yeah, but at the moment it's almost like it's operating in the same room with the same instrumentation. Yeah. And what is making the difference? Okay, a kick comes in and you start singing a repetitive thing. But aside from that, it's basically the same.
Okay.
So what I might be thinking about is the contrast between the verse and the chorus. It's really good, by the way, Akara. I really like it. So the contrast between the contrast between the verse and the chorus, and what that would probably mean is simplifying either the verse or the chorus in terms of what's in there. Yeah, which will then make it easier to mix. But basically making those decisions about what you're going to have in the verse and the chorus, and basically keeping that essentially the same. Yeah, so it's like verse, chorus, and making those decisions based upon what we were talking about in relation to the purpose. Yeah. How could you metaphorically describe what you're singing about in the music? Yeah. And you don't have to tell anybody this, and they don't have to understand it. But what it does is it really helps you have a purpose, know why you're doing things, and have a goal. It's like a goal outside of, oh, I like it, or oh, I don't like it. Yeah, because as we know, I like it and I don't like it is a moving target. Whereas, does this verse and this chorus and the way those two things work serve this purpose? It's like external to your thoughts and feelings. Yeah, it's like, yeah, okay, the reason that I'm doing this, the reason that these instruments are together here is because this is, to me, expressing the supposed losers who I'm hanging out with. Yeah. And the reason that at the end, there are all these instruments together and this like triumphant part on top is because I'm, giving the middle finger to the people who say they're losers and that we're losers for hanging out together or whatever. Yeah. And then you're like, does this serve the purpose? Yes. All right. Well, then it's finished. Rather than, do I like it? Oh, I don't know. I'm bored of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Lots of things to think about.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, yeah. I mean, it's, and as I said, I think it's great. And I mean, I know you've done the leap a few times, and I got the impression that this was one where you really did. You sort of broke through in some way.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, as I said, the music side of it, I seem to have really clicked in some way.
Fantastic.
So yeah, it was really nice to generate ideas and finish ideas. So yeah.
Fantastic. Well, keep it up. What are you doing next? Are you still in the groove, or is the nicer weather and the slightly having its impact?
Oh my god! Yeah, I mean, and everything opening up, and it's like, oh, maybe we should go for a barbecue as opposed to sitting in front of the laptop.
I think it probably is. I think you're allowed to do that given the year that you've had in the UK. So yeah, but anyway, nice one, Akara. Great to talk as ever, and yeah, speak soon.
Yeah, likewise.
All right. Brilliant. All right. Well, that's it for today with this particular thing. Remember, there's a new class of the Leap starting on the 7th of May. It is a commitment. It's intensive, but it's you're not really doing a course. You're doing it's like you're joining a community, and you've met some of the people in the community. It's not just blokes. There are females as well. So bear that in mind. I think Rasheen's been in the chat. She's a very frequent member of the community as well. A very welcome member of the community too. So bear in mind too that I am doing. What am I doing? The after party. Zen Tour Live. I'll probably start at 8:30 so I can have a bit of a break. Not that I was about to say I've got a sore throat, but I don't actually speak Zen Tour Live, so I just need a bit of a break. So I'll probably be starting in 45 minutes. Tomorrow, not 30 minutes later than this. What would it be? I think it will be 2 hours before this. How to Music. I'm going to do a live production session where I'm going to finish I'm going to start finishing one of my Zen Tour tracks, and we'll be talking probably a lot about discovering the purpose and figuring out what it could be, and how that actually, what decisions that means you make in your music. As I said, thinking about the purpose of your music probably isn't something that you tend to watch YouTube tutorials about. It's not something that's really taught, but it's such a game changer. It really is. It just gives you a purpose, obviously, which really helps you kind of move forward with it. So we'll be doing that. I'm going to be doing more of these with this particular track. So you're going to see me take a whole track to the end, hopefully, as long as I don't lose the vibe on this particular track. If not, I'll find another track. So yeah, and then Tuesday/Wednesday. Tuesday, if you are in the UK, Europe, and North America. at 4:00 in my morning, or Wednesday if you're over here, the Turbo Track Attack. And that's it. So until possibly tomorrow or possibly later on, depending on you and if you have to go to bed and things like that. Hope you found this useful. It was wonderful today, actually, because we got to hear lots and lots of different kinds of music. Sometimes just by accident, there's loads of house, or there's loads of this, or there's loads of that. And this time, we got hip hop, we got, I don't even know what some of it, what you'd call it. We got all kinds of different music. Got some house as well. So yeah, it's been great. So until next time, onwards and upwards.